There's a whole bunch of mods in 7 Days to Die, and today we're returning to the ranking series with the melee mods, but there is actually a bit of a twist today. You see, I want to make all of my ranking videos into a mega ranking video, and as such, I've been combining a few of these rankings together that wouldn't really have the content to make one video out of. So by the end of this video, you're not only going to know all about the melee mods in 7 Days to Die, but you're also going to know about the tool mods and the vehicle mods, and how I would rank them based on my experience and judgment. First, we're going to cover the tool mods because I don't think it's fair to lump them in with regular combat melee mods because they would be quite bad for combat, but at the same time, these mods are all absolutely S tier for their respective tools. So consider this tool section is just a pure S tier because they're all great. Bunker Buster gives you 5 to 30% more damage to stone-based ores like coal, nitrate, and oil shale, and it's excellent for any pickaxe or auger when mining those resources for obvious reasons. The Fireman's Axe gives you 5 to 30% more block damage, but it also gives you 5 to 30% worse entity damage. And yes, that does mean that the higher level of Fireman's Axe mod gives you worse entity damage than a lower level one, which is unusual because usually when there's a negative effect for these mods, they tend to make the low version really bad and the high version less impactful. But they didn't do that in this case. This means that your axe will be better at breaking blocks, but it comes at the cost of being worse against zombies, so if you're using it strictly as a tool, this is fine, it's S tier, but if you actually want to use it for combat, do not use this mod. The Gravedigger gives you 5 to 30% more damage to dirt, obviously very useful for augers and early game shovels, although there is kind of a balancing point where you will probably one-shot most dirt and grass with your shovel, and there's no real reason to upgrade it beyond that or get like a steel shovel. But when you come back around to getting an auger, this will help you break each block faster, so it does come back around to being very useful again. The Iron Breaker gives you 5 to 30% more damage to anything tagged as metal, making it particularly amazing out of all these mods because it affects more things and is more useful on more tools. It can help you break iron and lead faster when mining, but it can also break open safes faster and help you wrench down cars faster, so this is like a super S tier if anything. Then we have the Tempered Blade mod, which gives you 5 to 30% more block damage and 4 to 15% less durability use. This is an obvious choice for literally any tool from wrenches to axes. And then finally we have the Woodcutter. This gives you 5 to 30% more block damage to wood, which is excellent for chopping down trees and breaking down doors. I think literally all of these mods are excellent in their own right and should be highly prized and prioritized on tools specifically, though they do give general damage boosts to melee weapons, so if you have nothing else, do just throw these on your wooden club or whatever, but you would want to replace them with pretty much anything that gives an actual combat boost immediately, because these are mostly non-combat effects. Speaking of the combat melee weapons though, now there's no F tiers here, I don't think anything makes your melee weapon outright worse, but there are some E tiers for sure. The Serrated Blade mod gives a light attack a 10 to 60% chance to inflict one solitary bleed stack, so about 20 damage over like 15 to 20 seconds. Not hugely helpful, especially because it's only on light attacks and it doesn't interact with deep cuts at all. It's just kind of useless. It's an extra 1 damage per second on a weaker form of damage per second anyway, because you should be doing power attacks. And if you want bleed, use a knife, come on. And of course your knife won't benefit from having this if you're doing power attacks because it only benefits from light attacks. Stupid mod, E tier. The Barbed Wire mod does pretty much exactly the same thing, but it does at least work on power attacks, but conversely it only works on clubs, and there are much better slots for this on the club. E tier. Now the Diamond Tip Blade mod kind of just doesn't do anything useful anymore since they nerfed it. It's now directly inferior to another mod that is easier to obtain, but I'm giving it E tier anyway because it does still give 30% less durability drain, so it's not literally useless, but you should never go out your way for this compared to the alternate mod you could be using. The Small Motor Tool Tank mod lets you have up to 60% more fuel per reload in your auger or chainsaw, and honestly, unless for some reason you're using the chainsaw in combat, it's just not all that useful. Reloads aren't going to slow you down that much when you're mining. They happen like once a minute, it costs you a couple of seconds, it's not a significant time save. And at D tier, we have the Large Tank, bumped up a notch since it can give you up to 200% more fuel and save you a significant amount more time, I suppose. But again, how much time is that really in the grand scheme of things compared to something more useful? Along with that, we have the Fortifying Grip mod. This mod gives you between 1 health every 10 seconds or 2 health every 5 seconds at level 6, but only if you're below 50% health. This is not at all that helpful unless you regularly find yourself being put significantly below 50% health, and it takes up a valuable slot in the grip mod because there's a much better grip available. D tier. Moving up to C tier, we have the Nails mod for the club. It gives you between 5 and 30% armor penetration. It's situationally useful, but 90% of zombies don't have any armor, and in 90% of those situations where you would fight an armored zombie, you're going to want to use a gun to kill it rather than a club. But if you're really obsessed with armor penetrating melee weapons, the Sledgehammer has a book that allows it to always penetrate 50% of armor without needing a mod, and the Spear has built-in armor penetration of like 30 to 60% depending on which one you're using. Plus, this mod is another one that takes up a valuable slot you could be using on something much stronger. Alongside that, we have the Burning Shaft. This is a 60% chance to do like 15 burn damage over a few seconds. It's kind of insignificant bonus DPS like the bleed mods I mentioned earlier, but it does have the useful addition in that it does give a significant warmth bonus, which is very useful in the snow biome. And I suppose if you do like light, this is a convenient way to do it without necessarily taking up a valuable slot on your helmet or your gun. But the fire effects do cause frame drops in this game, and that does lose at some points in my mind. By the way, if you're finding this video useful, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can see the armor mods ranking and the food ranking videos coming in the next couple of weeks, and indeed see the mega ranking video I'm going to make. At B tier, we have the Structural Brace mod. This is a direct upgrade to the Diamond Tip mod now because it's cheaper. It's available earlier and can be used on almost every melee weapon and bows instead of just the bladed melee weapons and tools, which is what the Diamond Tip Blade mod can only be used on despite it being more expensive and rarer, and they both only provide 30% less durability usage. The two are incompatible, so you can't even stack them both on at the same time. This just makes the Diamond Tip Blade mod truly only useful if you happen to find it in a piece of loot and you're using a bladed weapon. The Structural Brace beats it every single time. We have here the Weighted Head, and this gives you a 60% chance to stun enemies for a few seconds and is pretty damn dependable. Unfortunately, it can't be put on every melee weapon, but if you can put it on your melee weapon, put it on your melee weapon. Now at S tier, we have the Metal Chain mod, and this is the one that's taking up the slots for the barbed wire or the nails, and it just gives you a 30% chance to knock down enemies with clubs. Obviously, extremely good. Use this on your club under all circumstances. Repulsors give stun batons the ability to ragdoll enemies. Of course, amazing for stun batons, S tier. And the Ergonomic Grip gives 30% less stamina used for melee weapons and tools, which is of course useful for not just your combat weapon but for your stamina driven tools, but it's also useful for your bow because it gives 15% faster crosshair reset speed, allowing you to chain shots together more accurately and faster. That's a very versatile mod. It's highly desired, of course, because stamina is the main currency for all melee tasks in the game for the most part, and there are a lot of them. If you find yourself wanting to craft like 10 of a mod on a playthrough, that probably means you should give it an S tier. And you know you would craft level 6s if you could, except we can't craft level 6 mods because apparently we haven't bought enough chicken costumes. Anyway, how about some vehicle mods? The worst vehicle mod, and one that you should never craft, and replace immediately if you loot it and put it on your vehicle for no reason, is our F tier vehicle mod, and you know what it is, it's the off-road headlights. It's not that dark outside, even at night, on the lowest brightness settings, you can see, just use something else. The fuel tank gives between 50 and 100% more fuel capacity for a vehicle, and this is honestly not that helpful. All your motorized vehicles will have enough inventory to store some gas in it anyway, and realistically, when are you not carrying backup gas anyway when driving around? It's just not very practical, it's just a very, very minor convenience over very long periods of time. D tier. The extra seat mod is difficult to rank. In single player it's completely useless because it doesn't even do anything because nobody can use the second seat. But if you get into multiplayer, the seats become much more worthwhile, saving you a lot of gas running a second vehicle and even the materials to make a second vehicle. But still, you probably will reach a point where you all want to have your own unique vehicles anyway for maximum storage haulage, but for its kind of meh utility, I'll give it a C tier. obviously F tier in single player. The fuel saver makes you use 10 to 60% less fuel, and this can be paired with the enforcer gloves or the biker outfit to reduce that to 80%, and then if you want intellect mastery 1, you can make it 100%. Pretty good if you're obsessed with fuel saving. In very niche playstyles where there's no desert on your world for some reason, this could be really useful, but that doesn't actually happen very much. And of course, late game gasoline is going to be extremely plentiful, especially with how many cars you're probably salvaging for all the other stuff you need, making it kind of a byproduct that you want to be spending more of to save on storage, to be honest. So B tier, it's good, it saves you a resource, but I can firmly live without it. Similarly, the armor plate mod gives 50% more damage to enemies, 38% more block damage, and 30% less impact damage to your vehicle, which is going to save you repair kits, of course, which are a bit more annoying to acquire because you have to waste iron and duct tape on them, which is a drain to your potential forged steel or your water and your glue reserves. Plus, it makes the vehicles more effective at just running over your enemies. I think it deserves an A tier, but only just barely. It's always a good choice, but there may be better options on certain vehicles if you've got limited mod slots. On the 4x4, we get the plow mod, and it increases damage to enemies by 60%, blocks by 56%, and reduces impact damage by 75%. This makes the 4x4 actually worth using at all, because without it, it's just a damage magnet and you're just better off using a motorcycle. A tier. The supercharger gives 18% more base speed and 12% more sprint or boost speed. What I want from vehicles is the ability to move faster, and thus this is an S tier. High priority for any motorized vehicle. And finally, we of course have the storage mod. Storage mods give you 10 more slots of storage, and you can stack them to 2, allowing even the bicycle to have 20 additional storage slots. This makes your vehicle's storage capacity even better, allowing you to bring home more loot, which is the other big thing you want from a vehicle. S tier. 2 of these and a turbocharger and probably an armor mod are all you ever really need. When the armor ranking video comes out, it'll be on screen right now. Check it out if you found this useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.